Well, good morning. Today is day 46 in our journey through the Word. Exciting, interesting reading today, and I want to start really where we started in today's reading. The tabernacle has been dedicated, Aaron and his sons have been consecrated, and the Levites have now, in today's reading, been dedicated. And now the activities around the tabernacle that has been built can begin. One of those beginning activities is the lighting of the lampstands. Without the lampstands, the tabernacle will be dark. For as we read, and there's no description of any windows, so the way it was built, that it would be totally dark, with the exception of the light that is generated by the lampstands. Without the lampstands, again, the tabernacle is dark, just like our world would be dark without the light of the Word, Jesus Christ. I read that Aaron would have lit the middle lampstand from the fire on the altar, and the rest of the lamps he lit one after another. The 7 lampstands each had 7 branches. 7 is the number of perfection in the writings, the biblical writings. We see that throughout, is that the number 7 represents perfection. The commentary I read says that the 7 branches of the candlesticks show, or the lampstands show, the full perfection of the Scripture. In Matthew 5:15 it says, "Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house." We have light that we may give light. We come at a time, to the time for the second Passover meal. It's been a year since the first one, and they left Egypt. Now it is time as they prepare for remembering, as God commanded, the Passover meal. Like the first time, God expects complete obedience. But as we learned in today's reading, there were some who were considered ceremonially unclean and would be for Passover because they had handled or touched a dead man's body. And so when confronted with that, we saw Moses go and take that concern to God. And God provides an opportunity for those who are ceremonially unclean or traveling and away from the family, the Israel family, to participate. For them, it would happen a month later. Therefore, again, there's not an excuse for disobedience. God provided a way for all to remember this most sacred event. As I continued in my reading today, I wondered, why was the salt required in all the offerings? It was commanded in Levi 2:13, "Season all your grain offerings with salt, to remind you of God's eternal covenant." Never forget to add salt to your grain offerings. As I learned today, continuing to read some more about this, that all offerings except for the wine, the blood, the wood, and the incense offerings required salt. Salt was the opposite of leaven. We saw earlier that God wanted all leaven removed from the house, no bread baked with leaven. Here we see God wanting and requiring salt. Salt preserves and signifies the purity necessary in the worship of God. I also learned today, that was new to me, that all fat belongs to the Lord. It says in Levi's 3:16 and 17, "All fat belongs to the Lord. You may never eat any fat or blood. This is a permanent law for you, and it must be observed from generation to generation wherever you live." No excuses, that it's just for that one place, one time. No fat, no blood, from generation to generation, wherever you live. The blood was forbidden for the same reason as the fat. It was God's part of every sacrifice, and God would not permit the blood that made atonement to be used as a common thing, nor would he allow us, though we have the comfort of the atonement made through Jesus Christ, to claim for ourselves any share of the honor of making atonement. The Jews were to observe the distinction between the common and the sacred things. And the sacred things we learned here was the blood and the fat belonged to God. I come away today just remembering to allow that I need to allow my light to point others to God, and that there has been a great sacrifice made for my sins by God himself. I thank God the Father for his sacrifice for me, for his sacrifice for you. Again, difficult reading, hard to wrap my arms around, as it probably was you as well, because these are things that are so uncommon to us. These sacrifices no longer continue. I've asked a Jewish friend why. Why don't they continue the sacrifices that God demands? They do, they don't forget the Passover. They observe the Passover. But I'm still seeking an answer to the reason that they no longer do sacrifices. You have that answer and want to share that with us, I encourage you to post that on our comments. And I will see you on Thursday as we continue our journey through the Word.